Hello and welcome back to the FSC Football channel, and today we have big news that Frank Lampard has been sacked as Chelsea manager. Now, Chelsea have come out with a statement, and this is it. They have said this is not a decision they've come to lightly, and they are very grateful for what Frank Lampard has achieved as head coach for the club. However, with recent performances and results, they do not see a way and a clear path to sustained improvement, and as such they've had to come to the conclusion, and a disappointing conclusion, that Frank Lampard had to be sacked. Roman Abramovich is also speaking about Lampard's dismissal, saying it was a very difficult decision for the club, not at least because of the personal relationship between Roman Abramovich and Frank Lampard being excellent. Roman also went on to say he has a great integrity and Lampard is a man of great work ethic. However, under current circumstances, we believe the best course of action is to change managers. And finally, he wished Frank Lampard the best of luck in any future endeavours, and he's been a great servant for the club. Now, what do I make of this sacking? In a way, I'm not surprised. I think, and I obviously didn't have this channel when Lampard was appointed, but I always thought it was far too soon for Frank Lampard. He's been a manager for a year at Derby. I didn't think he did too well at Derby. I thought this job was way too early. Realistically, Frank Lampard was always going to get the Chelsea job at some point in his managerial career. Same way as Ollie has, same way as Arteta has. Lampard was always going to get it at some point because he is Chelsea's biggest legend and he's iconic at the club. Maybe John Terry's just above him, but it's very close. So he's always going to get the job at some point. So I don't know why he took the job now instead of waiting until he really had grown and become a proper manager. Because at Derby, he wasn't that yet. He wasn't the finished article, and he came into this job far too soon for me. And I think that's let him down. Do I think he should have been sacked? I think it's a weird one. I think for any other club, no. But at the same time, Chelsea have a history of this, and Lampard would have known that. And Lampard wasn't going to be given the opportunity to grow as a manager at Chelsea. He should have known that. Everyone else knew that was going to be the case. He had to bring in success straight away, and he didn't do that. So for a Chelsea manager, he's right to go. He hasn't done what he was brought in to do, and that was win stuff. And this season they've been awful. He got a lot of backing, if anything, too much backing. And he simply hasn't been able to bring success to the club this season. They find themselves far too low down in the Premier League table, and it's not good enough. They should have been competing for a Premier League title this year, while Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was meant to be the man to get sacked. Turns out it's been the exact opposite. Lampard has now been sacked, while Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is competing for a Premier League title. Now, what mistakes do I think Frank Lampard has made as Chelsea manager that led him to this position? Well, one, I think, like I said, he got too much backing in the summer. I think when you buy so many players, it's always hard for them to adapt and all come together so well so early on. And that was a big... Chelsea got a new centre-back in Thiago Silva, a new left-back in Chilwell, new striker in Werner, new attacking midfielder in Havertz, new right winger in Pulisic. A new right winger, in Ziyech. It's far too many players. Far too many players. All that want to be first team players, while also having a lot of first team players who were missing out last season. Pulisic for a period. Callum Hudson-Odoi. Either Tammy Abraham or Giroud were always missing out. Then you have a midfield three of Kovacic, Jorginho and Kante. At a point, at least one of them has to miss out. Maybe at points two. They had far too many first team players not getting game time. You got to look at right back. You had Reece James and Aspilicueta. Left back, Emerson and Alonso. Centre backs, you have Rudiger, Christensen, Zuma, Thiago Silva, Tomori, who's now gone on loan to AC Milan. He had too many first team players, and then this season, obviously by adding more of these big stars, not really selling anybody, he created a dressing room with so many first team players, but not enough space to play him. And I think that's where he went wrong. He never really settled on the first 11 this season. It was constant chopping and changing. I think I said it when we watched the Leicester game. In Chelsea's last 3 Premier League games, they had a different striker. Giroud is a target man type of striker who you get the ball into the box, he'll find the net. Timo Werner is a player that likes to play on the shoulder and will like running at people. And look, although he hasn't been since he's joined Chelsea, he's a fantastic finisher. While Tammy Abraham is kind of a mix between the both. So you can't just keep swapping and changing when all these players are very different. It's not like going from Anthony Martial to Mason Greenwood up top for Manchester United, where they're both very similar players. All 3 of them strikers are completely different. So constantly chopping and changing them isn't going to help. And I think this season they've got worse than they were last season because of this constant chopping and changing. Now, who is going to replace Frank Lampard? Well, the current favourite and the man who everyone has been speaking about and Fabrizio Romano has claimed is set to take over as Chelsea manager is former Dortmund and PSG manager Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel has obviously gained a lot of plaudits and a lot of fans over the way he plays football. He's very possession dominant, and look, he's different. We've seen at PSG. He got them to a Champions League final, although he failed because he didn't win it, but he got them there, and I think he'll get a lot of plaudits for that. While look, he had a fantastic success rate at PSG. In 127 games, he won 96 games. In Dortmund, 107 games, 69 wins. And in his first spell as manager, that was at Mainz, he got 72 wins out of 183. So, look, gradual improvement. And look, he's a top manager. I think that's clear to see. I think, is he the right man? Probably not. I think he hasn't really won much. He ultimately failed at PSG, failed at Dortmund. So, how much of a success can you really claim he's had? Plus, he's always got into some sort of argument or beef with the chairman and the owners of each club. That's why he left Dortmund. He didn't succeed and probably should have been given more time at PSG, considering what he'd done. So, he's never been a brilliant success at either a club, and with causing problems with the owners. That's a recipe for disaster for Chelsea, potentially. However, on a plus side, he's German, so we might be able to get the best out of struggling stars in Rudiger and Kai Havertz, and most importantly, Timo Werner, who are all German, of course, and have all really been struggling to perform, not just this season, but in terms of Rudiger, since really Antonio Conte left the club. And look, I think Lampard, look, he's unlucky to go, but at the same time, he's not. He should never have came to Chelsea after 1 year at Derby. It was always going to be a difficult challenge. He was always going to be expected to bring success to the club straight away, which was always going to be difficult. I think he's made this club worse than it was when Sarri was here, and I think this club is worse than it was last year. He lost his job trying to accommodate rather than playing his own way this season. I think that's the biggest thing. And do I think Lampard will get the job again? I think he probably will. I think as well, especially if he goes back into management and starts developing his game again. Look, Chelsea have shown they will take back managers. They did it with Mourinho. So I'm certain they'll do it for Lampard if he becomes available again and if he wants to continue in management and improves as a manager. But like I said, I think Chelsea gave him the job far too early, and I think Lampard will pay for that. I think you should have done what Steven Gerrard's done, stayed at a club for long term and build yourself as a manager. And look, Gerrard is now set to take over Liverpool when Klopp leaves. Lampard, he's just been sacked a year and a half into his job. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in for today's video. There will be a Premier League preview out soon. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button below. Subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. Please do turn on the notification bells and let me know what you think about Frank Lampard getting the sack. Anyway, this has been it. It's been your boy, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.